So yeah, thank you very much to invite me for this presentation. And I just have a couple of pictures sorted out from about 11,000 pictures and 800 video clips. So it was not easy. And I just will start because I don't know how long it takes, and stop me if it's too much or something. I just plan to give you pictures and a report about my trip from home in Germany to Nepal in Kathmandu. Maybe the rest, but it depends on the time schedule. So my soul's Wanderlust. This is the title, and even when I want to write a book about my trip when I'll be home, and maybe next year, I will have this as a title, because first of all, Wanderlust or Wanderlust is a German word. Ute, you will know that. It's a German word, a very historical old German word. And so it's nice to take it for an international presentation. And the other thing is, Wanderlust of my soul is that when I asked, what did you find already on your trip? I said, I found my soul. But actually I didn't find her because she was there, but I didn't know that. So this, I think, is a good title for me to, for the presentation. So all this stuff started in 2015, 2016. I made a ride from Germany to Cape Town in South Africa. It was about 4 months, and it was really a beautiful, exciting ride through East Africa. And it was an experiment for me because I'm not a big mechanic for motorbikes, and I didn't know if I can stand it and all this stuff. So it was easy. So I decided when I entered Cape Town, what's next? And after a trip like this through Africa, next is only one thing, and this is around the world tour. And the reason why I did this Africa tour in 2015 was, this is a bad part of the story. It's my son passed away 4 years ago, so 2014. He committed suicide after 1 year, very heavy depression. And the trip through Africa was a kind of therapy for me to how to handle this tragedy. And I learned on the trip to speak about it, you know, without emotional outbreaks and all this stuff. And I made very special experience on this trip. And when I come to Cape Town down, I was kind of ready with this. I could, from that time on, I could deal with this. So I wrote a little book about it. It's just in German. And the translation is something: when your life overtakes you on the right or on the wrong side, and with joy and tears through Africa. So this is my story. And maybe I just 1 or 2 sentences about my relation to my son. So my son brought me back to motorbiking because I stopped motorbiking when the kids came. And when my son got 18 years old, he came and said, Dad, I want to make the driver license for a motorbike. I want to buy me a used Japanese bike. And I said, no, stop. I stopped motorbiking because of you. And now we go to the BMW dealer and we will buy a new one. So we bought a 650 GS, and we shared the motorbike. And we had a lot of fun with this. And so with this motorbike, I rode through Africa. And so till now, without my son, I wouldn't be here. So I wouldn't be on this trip. So for me, it's a combination, and it's a good combination because traveling is really, really good for thinking, rethinking, re-questioning about the life and everything. So a guy I met in Australia, and Australia is a fucking huge country, yeah? The right country for iron butts. And he said to me, either you get a dumb idiot on the road in Australia, or you get a philosopher. So it's a really good thing. So after the Africa tour, I wasn't really finished. I had this idea with around the world tour and all this stuff. And I started it in June last year, 2018. I have to say that nobody, even me, really actually knows how far it goes. So the official statement from me to my friends and family was, it will be a big tour. I will go to the Silk Road, to Iran, to Persepolis in Iran. So this was an official statement. And then the guys asked me, when will you come back? And I answered, I can tell you exactly when I'll start my trip, but I can't tell you when I'll come back. So it was a kind of open end trip. Now I'm here in Vancouver in the Americas, so we'll get around the world tour, but I never communicated like this because I didn't want to make a big mouth, you know, and so I tried it step by step. My wife, she had an idea when I was in Armenia. I applied the visa for Pakistan and India, and she had my second passport at home in Germany, and I told her, please send it to the Pakistani embassy in Berlin. So she had an idea that it's going further than the Iran. And she thought, okay, Dieter told me that he don't want to celebrate his birthday in Germany. And my birthday is in February. So, and I celebrate birthday in Sumatra with the last orang-utans there in the jungle. And after that, I wrote her, I'm so close to Australia. What do you think about it? And she said, come on, you haven't did what you want, so go to Australia. But she was a bit pissed off, but it's okay. So I was very far from home, and everything is okay. But I told her it's a once in a lifetime chance to do that, and I'm good in time. I'm good in the seasons and everything. So I did this. Okay, then 1 year later, in June, I was in Australia. After I went east, the east route via Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, Iran, Pakistan, then to India, Nepal, India again, then through Myanmar, then to Thailand to Cambodia, then Thailand again, then I went to Malaysia in south, from Malaysia to Sumatra, to Indonesia, then back to Malaysia. From Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, I shipped my bike and me to Adelaide in Australia. So I spent 4 months on my bike in Australia. I did a loop. And after Australia, from Melbourne, I shipped my bike to Vancouver. And now I want to go all the way south to Ushuaia. My rough plan is to be New Year or Christmas in Ushuaia in the south of America. Everything went fine, and I made I have a little mission. It's not that serious, of course. It's a passion. This writing, I have a lot of fun. But as far as I can, I join Rotary meetings. I just to make or raise awareness for depression help and suicide prevention because of my story with my son. I met a lot of good friends there, especially in Australia. These IFMR guys are so hospitable, and I had a lot of talks and short speeches about this. I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a medicine guy, but I have my experience. So I said to them, it's really a sickness, and nobody really knows about this sickness, and it's not mostly in Germany or Europe, it's not accepted as a sickness and an illness. So I just said, hey, we have to take care for it because it's a big issue. It's a global issue, and I can tell you some stories here in my presentation that I think it's it's really need to do more for this depression and depression help. So my first part, I started in Würzburg, then I went through Austria, Hungary, just an idea, or give you an idea from my history. When I was young in my first life, I was a sportsman. I did fencing. I took part in the Olympics 1984 in Los Angeles and 1988 in Seoul. So I met in Budapest my old fencing coach, and he's the beginning of 80s. We had a lot of fun there. So now he's following me on my trip via Facebook. After that, I continued to Romania. Romania is a beautiful country for motorbiking, especially off-road. So it was really surprising for me that this is, if you will go to Europe for motorbiking, have a look to Romania. It's very rural, it's very original. People are absolutely hospitable. The food is good. The roads are bad, but it's very nice to ride motorbiking there. So I rode to the Black Sea, to Constanza, and from there down to Bulgaria and to Istanbul. And in Istanbul, I made the first steps to Asia, because there's the border, the Bosporus between Europe and Asia. It was a special moment for me to cross this Bosporus bridge in Istanbul. For me, the trip starts here because, you know, Europe and Turkey, of course, I have been there a couple of times. It's easy for us to go there. So, but here in Asia, it was really new, everything for me. And so the adventure starts. Istanbul is a vibrant city. I was there on the Sunday when the elections for the president was. So I waited for some trouble, but nothing happens. People were very quiet. So Mr. Erdogan just continued his presidency. And I choose the option to go up to the coastline of the Black Sea. Most people, most tourists in Turkey who are going to Turkey choose the south route. But the north is almost no tourism. It's a beautiful ride there along the coast. You know, one stretch, it was 300 kilometers in one day. It's just bends, curves, up into the mountains, back to the sea, up into the mountains, all the way up and down. It was so beautiful for motorbiking. And I enjoyed it very much. After Turkey, I entered Georgia and Armenia, two very old countries with a lot of a big history, but as well a bad history with the Soviet Union in these times. So beside the beautiful country, sometimes you see really nasty industry factories from the Soviet Union, and they spoiled the country. But mostly it's nice. People are nice. The food is very, very good. And I rode there, and in the late afternoon, I found a little monastery, this Tsarsman here. And I made a deal with the monks. 11 monks were living there. And I made a deal with them. They give me the accommodation and food, and I drive with their motorbike. So they rode with me on the back of the bike, and they have a lot of fun with this. And I told them, you need a helmet when you're riding motorbike. No. They said, we have this black cap you see on this guy on the right, and God will take care of my head and everything. So we had a lot of fun. We played football. It was a really good and nice times there. So I spent there 3 nights and 4 days. And when it comes to saying goodbye and the farewell, the abbot of these monks, he made a speech and to me and everything. And then he said one sentence. He said, we know you lost a son, but now you have 11 new brothers. So it was really emotional for me, and I liked it very much. And the same thing is, this abbot said in his farewell speech, he said, may you find what you are looking for. And this sentence, I was busy to think about it thousands of kilometers after, because what does it mean? Because I didn't search for something. So I was not really looking for something. It was just traveling. And so I thought, okay, then I have to look for what I'm looking for. So, and the funny thing is, a Buddhist monk in the Himalayas in India, when I told him this story of this sentence here from these Catholic monks, the Buddhist said, yeah, it's very easy. When you will find it, then you know what you have looking for. And this is really funny. So Georgia, two things, a lot of monasteries, and the Caucasus, the mountain range. It's going from the Black Sea all the way to the Caspian Sea. And this is really, really beautiful. This is a famous Tusheti road. It's one of the dangerous roads in the world, or the 10 dangerous roads, they say. And it's going up to 2,500 meters, a lot of valleys, a lot of gravel, sometimes very steep, but beautiful, beautiful views, beautiful, very old historical villages you can visit. And this is pure nature. And I had a lot of really beautiful time there. And yeah, I love Georgia very, very much because of the pure nature, the people there, and the food is very good. And there's an area in Georgia, it's called Kakhetien. It's a wine area. It's in front of the mountains. And they said they founded the wine making there. It's 5,000 years old. They are digging holes in the ground and dig barrels there. And so this wine, this old wine with a historical technique, you can't drink. It's absolutely, no, you can't drink it. But the new one, they call it the European style, is very good because the conditions there are really, really good. Yeah, from Georgia, I went to Armenia, and I crossed, I was very close to the border of Azerbaijan. There were a lot of military there, but the plains and the country was a plain, and it was like a desert. It was I was really alone, and I didn't know what happens, but I did it to Armenia. And Armenia, it's the same thing. It's everywhere. You can find monasteries, very beautiful monasteries. This is one at the Lake Sedan. And I said to myself, sometimes you're seeing a rock or a nice place in the nature on the mountains, and you're missing something. And you're asking, why don't they, or why haven't they built a monastery there? Because it's a nice place. So a lot of monasteries. And Armenia is, I think it was the first country in the world which was Christian very early, I think 400, 500 after Christ. And so very religious. This is the Armenian Orthodox Catholic Church there. And of course, I visited a lot of these monasteries, and I had a talk with the bishop. It was coincidentally, this bishop was there, and I had the chance to talk with him, and I asked him about depression and suicide because of my story, and he said, oh, this is a bad thing, this is a devil thing, you know, and we believe, and I told him my story with my son, and he said, oh, we are believing that it's very easy, but if your son had prayed more to God, then he would be still alive and happy. And I told him, come on, we are living in 2018, and what you are talking about. But this is one of this big problem in the world. It's the same with the Muslims. For them, it's a devil thing, depression, suicide. You know, they don't accept it as a sickness, and that's maybe a big problem worldwide, that the religions don't accept it and don't see that it's really, that these people knows needs help from the scientists and from the medicine science. Yeah, in Armenia, their holy mountain is the Mount Ararat, but the funny thing is this mountain is in Turkey, so it's close to the border, but from Erivan you can see this mountain. It's a beautiful big mountain, and I went in the background, you see the mountain Ararat, and of course in front of the monastery, and I enjoyed the riding through Armenia. So it's a good, maybe it's a tip. When you go there, you have the mountains, the Caucasus, you have really good food, you have a very original rural country. So Georgia and Armenia was really, really nice. Yeah, after that, I crossed the border to Iran. The funny thing was that all the people, even the German automotive and motorbike association said the Iran stopped crossing motorbikes more than 250cc, the border, because of the Harley Davidson and the embargo of the US, blah, blah. And so the official statement was, I can't go into Iran with my motorbike. I have a BMW GS 800. And I didn't know, I was hesitating, what should I do? So I just go to the border. It was a Friday morning, and nobody cares. 2 hours and I was over the border. So it was nothing. So that is one example for don't trust the media or statements in these countries. Just go there, have a look, and then you will manage it somehow. So I went to the Iran. First to Tabriz, then I went to the Caspian Sea. There's a nice mountain range, they call it jungle. Then down to Tehran, from Tehran to Qom. Qom is one of the spiritual or Islamic centers. There's a big university there for Islamic science. Then south to Isfahan, to Shiraz, to Yazd, and then to the Pakistan border. So there are beautiful, colorful mountains in Tabriz. I was really surprised. It was a hot day. It was sunny and the blue sky and all these beautiful mountains. It was really fantastic. And I made some nice pictures, and I dropped my bike. So I dropped it a lot of times because it was very heavy, you know, and my side stand is not very stable. So, but it was not a big issue. And I said to myself, okay, there are worse places for dropping his bike. So I had no problems with this. Other thing is, of course, in the Iran is this inflation, and because of the sanctions of the US. And I told in the beginning to Brian and the other guys that I'm here in Vancouver waiting for my visa to the US, and the US consulate here in Vancouver, they want to have an interview, an in-person interview with me because I have the stamp and the visa from the Iran in my passport. So I don't know if I can tell my stories from the Iran, but just let you know that the people there, they are no terrorists. These people, they are very hospitable. I was invited a lot of times. It's a beautiful country. It's a cultural country. It's a very old culture. It's a Persian culture. Especially the young people, they are well educated. They know what they are doing there. And of course, maybe the government and the mullahs there, these are crazy people like almost everywhere in the third world countries in the governments, but mostly the people there are really good ones. And but they are suffering now at the moment under the embargo. For me, it was really cheap. I paid for 1 liter gasoline 9 €. And actually, you are not able to spend money there because you're always invited. Everything is cheap. And but I like the time there very much. And an example for the people there. I met in the mountains close to the Caspian Sea in the north. I met these 3 guys here with 250cc motorbikes. They asked me if I want to join them. Yeah, so we made a tour. Really nice. And then we came to Tehran, and one of these guys had an invited me to his house in Tehran for accommodation, and his wife was very beautiful. She made a very delicious dinner. I had the overnight, the next day breakfast, and I left his house, and I left to Gom. It's about 200 kilometers south, and there is, I told you, this university, a big spiritual center of the Islamic religion. Ayatollah Khomeini was their professor. So Ayatollah Khomeini, he held his speech, famous speech there before he went in exile to Paris. And when he came back from the exile from Paris to Iran, he did his welcome speech there in this university. So this is really an important religion spot, and it's a very nice golden shrine. It's a huge area. It's thousands of pilgrims are there. So I went to Gom, and in Gom, when I was in Gom, I realized that I lost my iPhone. And I have no contact data and no address, something from this guy in Tehran, and I was a bit despaired. I didn't know what to do. So it was Saturday late afternoon, and first I thought, okay, let's go to the Golden Shrine, to the mosque, just sightseeing. And I came to this area, and this huge area is, you have 14 entrances. And I just, by accident, I choose one. And everywhere there were queues, and I stood in one of these queues. And when I came to the checkpoint, the officer put me out. And he gave me a phone. And I heard in the phone, and somebody was talking to me, "You are the German guy with the BMW 800cc, and you lost your iPhone." And I thought, what's happening here? You know, so. And the story is that this guy from Tehran here, he was really smart. He found my iPhone in his garage, and he thought, okay, when a German tourist going to Gom, for sure he will go to the Golden Shrine. And he phoned the manager of tourism, and the manager of tourism, he asked all his officers around this huge area, and told them, if there's a guy 190 centimeter tall and looking like a European, so catch him. And I went to his office of this manager, and then he told me, okay, this guy from Tehran, he will come tonight and will bring you the iPhone. So it was Saturday evening, it was Saturday night, and he came from Tehran, 2.5 hours riding, and it's not easy to ride in the dark in Iran. So he brought me my iPhone, and I thought, okay, what can I do for you? Can I help? And he said, no, I'm very happy that I can help you. And then he went back in the same night to his house in Tehran. So it's just an example how what I mean when I say that people are very hospitable there. The other thing is, of course, the war is still aware, all these big faces from fallen soldiers everywhere on the street. You see here on the highway on the right, these are faces from fallen soldiers in the wars. Of course, everything is aware there. So, yeah, but I can't tell anything negative. I met all the people I met are really, really nice and hospitable, and I like this country, and it's a beautiful country. But the problem, like mostly in the third world countries, is the government. And you see here, this is a Ministry of Justice, and you see the pictures of these ayatollahs up there. That means they are guiding and ruling the justice, and maybe this is part of the big problem there. But there is a change, because the young people using the iPhone and can enter via VPN to the internet, so they are able to take part of the modern world and modern life. And when you talk to them, they are really well educated. They were in state of the art, meaning culture and everything. And there are a lot of parties as well, private, and they don't wear these covered things. So, and they're drinking alcohol when it's private in the house and everything. So something is going on there. In Isfahan, there's this famous place. It's called the Imam Square, and it's the second biggest place in the world after the Tiananmen in Beijing. And it's a beautiful place with the mosque, the palace, the water in the middle, and all the people. And when it's in the evening, they are coming there, they make picnic, they play a bit volleyball and something. Their social life, and it's one of my favorite places on my trip. And I can tell you, Isfahan, or the Iranian women are really, really beautiful. Yeah. This is a mosque in Shiraz, just to give you an idea. Very colorful, very nice to see. Very old historical country. In the mountains, I found this place with these wall paintings. They said it's 10,000 years old. I don't know for sure, but it was looking very, very old. I told it it's the Facebook from 10,000 years ago. And Persepolis, of course, the place where it's very ancient culture of the Persians were, and Alexander the Great, he destroyed it by fire and everything, and a beautiful place. And it was the 24th of August. I know that exactly because it's the birthday of my son. And on this day I went to Yazd, and I met a Dutch guy there, Wouter van der List, on his Honda Transalp, 20 years old. He was 27, no 26. And we did the next 5 weeks together. So we went to Nepal together through Pakistan and India. We met via Facebook and Horizon Unlimited, you know, the platform and the internet. And this really great guy. We had a lot of fun, and it was good to go with a mate and not alone. So yeah, the German and Dutch combination team. So before I enter Pakistan now, just to make a little break, if you have some questions or something, you can just a few, then because now I will tell you what it comes next. It's Pakistan and it's Nepal, beautiful Himalaya, and then Nepal. So if you want to ask me some questions or something.
I muted everybody, so if you have a question, unmute your microphone first.
Right.
Got it. Dieter, yes. Scott here. Do you, where do you live in Germany?
I live in Würzburg. It's the north of Bavaria. So it's 1 hour southeast from Frankfurt.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be over in Darmstadt in the first couple of weeks of September.
Yeah, it's close.
Just a thought.
Yeah, it's around Frankfurt. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Did you have it? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scott. I didn't realize you were done.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you plan on making this into kind of a book, or I love the presentation. This is fascinating.
What is the question? Sorry, Scott?
If you plan on making it into a book as well.
Yeah, I'm considering about it, but it's not easy, you know. I have a lot of good stories, and I think I will. When I come back next year, I think I will just go into my house and shut up in my room, and then I will start writing. But first I have to find a publisher, of course, and all this stuff. But I think I will, yeah.
No pressure, Dieter, but we love it.
I have a question.
Yep.
What was the most challenging episode that I had in, right in between the border of, Istanbul to Afghanistan border?
Yeah. It depends what you mean with challenging. So physically, I had 3 accidents. I will show you a video from one later.
I guess that's probably was my question. As an insurance agent, I like to know about the accidents.
I had three really serious, serious accidents, but I was lucky and nothing happened. But it was really tough. And the mentally, there are some moments and points, especially in Australia, when you go thousands of miles just straight through a lot of nothing. You know, you have to deal with it with nothing in your brain. And so, but physically, it was, of course, these three accidents. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so maybe we can make some questions later on, right? Okay.
Okay.
So then I will continue. So now I'm in Taftan. You see down on the left side, it's the border between Iran and Pakistan. And I'm on the road with Wouter from Holland. So this was our longest border crossing ever because it took 10 days. So that the story is, you come to the border, everything, the immigration is easy, the custom is easy, and then they took you to the police station, and then they came, and actually it's a jail. It's not a police station, it's a jail. And they shut the door behind you, and then they say, okay, you can sleep in this room. Next morning, inshallah, the escort will come and they will escort you the next days. So nobody knows really what happens there, but they always said it's just for your own safety. So the first night we spent in this room, no furniture, nothing, no AC. And it was really, really special because it was so hot, nothing to eat, a bit to drink. And in the night, they came 300 refugees. They catched at the border, and there was just one shithole. It was not a toilet. It was just a hole in the ground. And I thought, oh no, 300 guys and during the night, and only this toilet. So it was really, really hard. These were 200 or 300 young guys who tried to escape from Pakistan to Iran, going further to Europe. They catch them in the Iran, so they brought them back. They make a registration here in this place, and there I made the speech of my life, because I went to the leader of this station and I asked him, can I talk with these guys? And first he said no, and then I could convince him. So I went out and I asked for somebody who can translate it in their language. So I found somebody, and then all these guys came. There are 300 really young boys, looking very healthy, curious, were standing in front of me, and I told them that Wouter and me are coming from Europe, and maybe we come from these countries, the countries they want to go. And I told them that to be a refugee in Europe, especially nowadays, it's not really the paradise. So I told them and asked them, stay here in your country. You have a lot of options here. It's much better than to risk this escape to Europe. And when I was finished with my speech, they started to shout, you know, like, inshallah, inshallah, and they're starting to sing a bit. So very positive, so very optimistic. So I couldn't understand what they are singing about, but it was a really special moment for me. Yeah, then after that, the next morning an escort came. Escort means 2 soldiers with the AK-47, and we have to follow them. And here in the desert, while tanking all the way in the back, somebody with the AK-47, right here. And it was really strange because they said where we have to go. They booked the hotel for us and everything. It was, we didn't pay for it, but we were not free. So for sure these guys can't do anything for our safety, because I asked one of the guys, when did you shoot with your gun last time? He said, oh, I never shoot with my gun. And so it's just to make sure that we are riding very close to the Afghanistan border. And they say there are some bandits and kidnapping from the Taliban and stuff. But it was a bit annoying. And yeah, and here on this road in Pakistan, I had my first accidents from 3, and it was in the desert. It was a sealed road, but there were sand on the road, and I had made a little video. And Walter behind me has his GoPro on and recorded it. So it was just deep sand, and I was way too fast. And I was really happy that I had my helmet, because I hit the rock there. I hit rock. My helmet was a bit damaged. You see the rock there? But nothing happened. Everything was okay. Yeah. Yeah. I had no torque for going through the sand. You know, I had no balance with my bike. So this is just an example. They booked for us a hotel, and then we came to the hotel, and they say, "Oh, we have no rooms for you. Then we have to sleep on the rooftop here, very close to the road." It was very noisy, but always the soldiers were there. This is a proof picture that we slept really there on this mattress. Yeah, it was 10 days. We had these guys around us. Every 50 kilometers, they changed the people. So it was, for us, it was impossible to escape, so all the way. But finally, in Islamabad, we were free, and we could go to the Karakoram highway. So this is a part of the Himalaya, and it's going to the Chinese border. And the Chinese border up there is 4,600 meters. And it's a beautiful road there. The mountains are 3,000, 4,000 meters. And it was really, really beautiful. So it was worth. So here you see on this sign that the Hindu Kush, the Himalaya, and the Karakoram are finding here each other. And the most famous mountain there is the Nanga Parbat. I think it's the third biggest or third highest, but it's very dangerous, and especially a German mountain climber has a big story with the Nanga Parbat, and I always was looking for the Nanga Parbat, and at some checkpoints, all the time there are checkpoints. I asked somebody, the officer, "Where is the Nanga Parbat?" And he said, "Just turn around." And then you turned around and you see this mountain, 8,125 meters. Oh, it was so massive. It was, oh, wow. Yeah, and then up to the mountain, we had beautiful weather. And then we came to the Chinese border with the world's highest ATM in Pakistan. Yeah, this is the highest border crossing in the world. It's 4,600, almost 4,700 meters. So I didn't choose the option going through China, because you have to book a guide. You have to pay $100 per day. You can't see anything. You are not free. They set everything. They plan everything for you. So you get really ripped off from the Chinese people. That's the reason why I choose the way to through Pakistan, India, and Nepal to the south. Yeah. So this is the map. We came down from Islamabad, went back to the border to India. So, and then in India, we went to Amritsar. Amritsar is the center of the Sikhism, the religion, then up to the Kashmir Ladakh area, where the highest pass of the world is the Kaduna, that's 5,600, they say. And then down again to Dharamsala. This is the exile of the Dalai Lama. I spent a teaching of the Dalai Lama 4 days there with him, so with other hundreds of pilgrims, but it was very, very impressive. And then down to Delhi. But the big thing was Kashmir Ladakh in the north, because at the moment there's war, and we saw a lot of soldiers there, but it's a beautiful, very impressive area. But first, when you cross the border from Pakistan to India here in Wagah border, it's a big show. It's like thousands of people. So on the Indian side, the other side is minimum 30,000 people. And on the Pakistan side, we stand, it's 10,000. It's like a stadium. And every evening at 6 o'clock, when they close the border, they make a show. And it's really a showtime, you know, this, who is the biggest, who is the strongest, and all this. So it's like an opera, it's like a theater. It's really a weird thing, because you know that they are shooting each other in the north, in Kashmir, and here they're doing a show for the people. So it's really, really crazy. But every evening it's sold out, and thousands of people, tourists, are coming and are looking to that show at Wagah border. Yeah, and the other thing is just to say, we were in a Muslim country for months, Iran, even Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, and now we are crossing the border to India. It was, you know, you feel physically the difference between the Islamic religion and the Hindu religion. Because Islamic religion was, everything was very dark, you know, the women were covered on the street, and the muezzin is yelling from his, what's the name of this tower of the mosques? You know what I mean. And then you cross the border to India, and everything is colorful. Colorful, you see the women on the street, the music is nice, and this was really a physical experience between two religions. And the first stop was in Amritsar. It's, as I said, the center of the Sikhism, the Sikhs, the people with the turban. There's this famous golden temple, and I think there inside you find this Bible of the Sikhs, and it's written in notes, so in music tones. Very, very nice, and the people very friendly, and everything very colorful, very easy, and we liked it very much. It was very impressive. Then further north, then in Ladakh, Kashmir Ladakh, there's Srinagar. It's up in 1,600 meters. There's a famous sea with all these houseboats, but all the hotels are empty because of the war, and the soldiers are there and stuff. Then further to the Himalaya, there was a place I was reminded to Switzerland. It was looking like the Alps in Switzerland. And then it went up into the Himalaya, and it's mostly Buddhism there. You can see all these Buddhism monasteries and all these prayer flags, and it's beautiful. When we talk about India, of course, we talk about the traffic. It's absolutely chaotic. It's very easy. Give an Indian driver 1 millimeter, and 10 of the Indian drivers will try to come in. So there are no rules, and it's really hard to ride. And the pollution, of course. It's especially we with the motorbikes behind the trucks, the dust. You know, actually you chew the air. You don't breathe it, you chew it, because in the evening your teeth are brown, your skin is dirty, and it's really, it's pollution there. And they said the most highest doable pass in the world, and Leh is on 3,500 meters. And it's a beautiful place. But when we were there, it started to rain. And in the mountains, there no, though the pass was closed, so we wait 3 days there. And then the 4th days, the weather was fine, and here there 3,500 meters in Leh. There's a polo tournament. They're playing polo there, so it's crazy. But Wouter said, let's go to the Kadunla, because it was his dream when he was a child. He said, I want to do this pass with my own motorbike, and I want to do that. And so we started in the morning. You see, the weather is fine. Tires, you know, everything. So after half an hour, the officer there said, okay, go. But it was really at the end. Some motorbikes just were left on the side of the road. You see this, but at the end we did it, and it's 5,600 officially, but on my meter it was 5,450. The air's really, really thin up there. Wouter with his Honda Transalp, he has a but with my bike, it was with the injection, it was not a big problem. So we did it, and it was a really great moment up there to be up there. And then we decided to go on the other side down to the so-called Nubra Valley, and we had 2 weeks in paradise for motorbiking. So you see this. Altitude, let's say 4,000 meters, and even on the Kaduna, when you are on 5,600. And here it's a Pangong Lake, it's 4,300 on the other side. Nepal. So Jaipur is the so-called Pink City, very impressive part of the city is in this pink stone. It's India, everywhere are monkeys, a lot of monkey temples there. And then this Taj Mahal, this is really a big thing. So this is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, nice pictures. Then I was in Vrindavan, it's the center of the Hare Krishnas. And one of the Hare Krishna priests wrote this Hare Krishna on my seat. Very colorful, everything in India. And this is Varanasi, and Varanasi is one of the centers of the Hindu believing. The people, Hindus are supposed to go for dying there because they are cremation spots, and then after cremation, your ashes is were swept in the river Ganges. So it's very, very special. Everywhere it's this smell of death in this city. 200 bodies they are cremating per day, and one body needs 2 hours. And then everything is in the Ganges, and this river is so polluted you can't imagine. Sometimes priests and kids, they are not allowed to cremate it. When they are dead, they get a stone at the ankle, and then they were putting in the water. So it's really, but all the Hindus, and every morning they are praying in the river, they are washing there. So it's really amazing. Yeah, I found a motorbike club, Royal Enfield there. They invited us and me for some dinner, and it was really nice. So, and then up to Nepal. I came to this place in Lumbini where Buddha was born. And then Nepal, Kathmandu, I enjoyed it very much. People are very nice. The traffic is as horrible as in India, but it's nice. And in Kathmandu, Wouter was visited by his mother and his sister, and they brought for me a new Heidenau K60 rear tire from Germany to Kathmandu. So it was a nice deal, and it was time to say goodbye to Wouter because now his trip was finished. He went back to Amsterdam and start to work after his studying. So the surprising thing is I met him on the 24th of August. It was the birthday of my son, and his birthday is the day my son passed away. So there's a connection, and he's the same age like my son, and and we had a really, really good time these 5 weeks. So Kathmandu is chaotic, especially after the earthquake a couple of years ago, but it's really chaotic. It's very polluted, all these Hindus up there. A very good workshop there. I changed my head bearing in the handlebar. A lot of off-road, beautiful mountain ranges, of course, and here in Pokhara, it's beautiful. And this is the end of my presentation from home to Nepal. What I can do, if you want, is I have some outlooks about the rest, but just very short and very comprehensive, if you want. Otherwise, I would stop here and we can make question and answers. Brian, you are the boss.
Well, Dieter, I was just talking to a few members of the board because we were talking about having a board meeting tonight. But I don't know that we have a lot to talk about, and I'm looking for feedback from anybody else because I'm inclined to let you keep going.
He can keep going on my account. I think this is extremely interesting with all his experiences and with everything going through there. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, most of the feedback that I'm getting on the chat is let's just keep going.
Absolutely, let's go.
Yeah. No, this is beautiful. We'll put the board meeting off, and if you want to take a few questions, that's fine, and keep going.
Okay, just a short outlook with here, for example, after Nepal, I went east, and then you come to India again, and this part of India, it's called Sikkim, and it's an old royal place, a Buddhist place, and you need a permit if you want to go into Sikkim, and it was so beautiful. You see this Buddha park with this mountain range behind. I slept in a Buddhism monastery. The people there were very nice. So Sikkim it's like a hidden champion. Nobody knows it, but it's a very nice place. Then I went east, heading to Myanmar. So we crossed Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, a lot of tea plants, of course. And I met the French guy. It was Victor, and we spent 3 weeks together. And we went through Myanmar to Thailand, and the way through India, you see my face, and it was a lot of dirt on the road, and it was really hard. It was hot. It was hard stuff. And then in Myanmar, you can't cross Myanmar by your own, with your own vehicle. So you need a guide. You need an agency who organized everything. So these guys were mostly motorbikers. Some of the Indians were iron butt guys. They came from Mumbai. They did Mumbai, Singapore. And this was a problem because they rushed through Myanmar. And it was so a pity because Myanmar is such a beautiful country. And the people are very nice. And we had 5 days, 4 nights there. And then we were in Thailand. Thailand, maybe you know from tourism, of course, we come from the north, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, then down to Bangkok. And then from Bangkok, I went to Cambodia, to the east. I made a mistake because I chose the wrong border crossing. Everybody after that said, you can't go there because they are so strong and ambitious. So that means I came through to the immigration. I had my visa, everything, but they don't let my bike in. And they said, you need a permit. And I asked, where can I get the permit? And they say, yeah, you have to go to Phnom Penh, to the capital town, to the tourist ministry and blah, blah, blah. So I went with the night bus to Phnom Penh. I stood 1 week in Phnom Penh for this shit permit. Then I left my bike at the border. Then I went back, and then I could go through Cambodia 3 weeks. Beautiful, very beautiful. And for sure, you know that the younger history of Cambodia, it's horrible. 1975 to 1978, there was this Pol Pot regime and terrorists, murderers, everything. And these the younger history is very aware there. Yeah, and then in the south, it's a jungle, beautiful jungle going through. Then I was in Bangkok, New Year's Eve. I spent with my daughter and her boyfriend. They visited me, and so we spent New Year's Eve in Bangkok. And then I went to Malaysia, down to the east coast, and where beautiful people there. And the special thing in Malaysia for me is that it's not a third world country. Everything is very cultured. It's a rich country, and you have a lot of cultural influences. So, for example, the food, you have the Indian food, Chinese food, the Thai food, then the Malaysian food, the Western food. So when you go to a stop at the highway, there is a buffet. It's 100-meter long because all these different kind of foods. And it's so beautiful, nice country, nice people there. I attended a BMW general meeting there. I was welcomed as a special guest. You see, and they make these pictures with these ladies, but it's just a fake picture. Then I went to Sumatra. I told you in the north of Sumatra is a kilometer zero for the Indonesian people. It's a very special spot because Indonesia is starting up there. And then the beautiful lake there, beautiful countryside, and my birthday with the orang-utans in Sumatra. It was very, very special. These poor animals. Because of the palm trees, they are really diminished all these jungle trees, and so yeah. And then from Kuala Lumpur, I went to Australia. I started in Adelaide, and I did the whole round from Adelaide to Phillip Island to Melbourne, then up to Sydney, and up in Bundaberg inland to Alice Springs and the Uluru, and then up to Darwin. And I had a tourist visa for Australia. That means 6 months totally. But after 3 months, I have to leave the country. So I did it to Darwin in the first 3 months, and then I flew from Darwin to Bali for a week, for 10 days, without my bike. And I just left my bike at a BMW workshop there for maintaining some things, but it was a horrible experience, very stupid. And then from Darwin, I did the whole west coast to Exmouth, swimming with the whale sharks there, to Perth, down to this beautiful, and then in the south. There's one stretch, it's the so-called 90 miles stretch. It's 90 miles or 146 kilometers straight, no curves, just straight through the Nullarbor Desert. And yeah, Australia, it's a fucking huge country, but I had a lot of nice, beautiful friends there with these IFMR members, and they made the last 10 days with me. And they escorted me to Melbourne. They made a farewell party there. And, oh, I love these guys. Yeah, and just a video from a very special place. After thousands of kilometers through nothing, we're getting closer to the Uluru, to this highest land. It's really special. Yeah, short tourism break in Bali, and then the farewell party in Melbourne with all these nice guys. And then I'm here in Vancouver, and The last 3 weeks I was in the mountains, and I had a very special experience with the Sundance ceremony of the Blackfoot Indians. And that's a nice story because I met an Indian guy on the campground in the mountains, and he invited me to this Sundance ceremony, very special in the south of Calgary. And I went there. First, I couldn't find it, then I found it, and it was I was the only guy who was not native. And the chief, the leader of this Sundance was Casey. His name was Casey. His Indian name was Eagle Speaker. And all the guys called this a Casey Sundance ceremony. And Casey was the nickname of my son. Yeah. So this is the end of my presentation. And I say thank you. And if you have some question, I'm here.
Thank you, Dieter. That was great.
No question.